Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel Dhyani Classes. If you are watching my video for the first time, do subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon so that you get notified whenever new video will be uploaded. So in today's video, we will cover the fourth part of the chapter from Poets and Pancakes written by Ashoka Mitran from class 12 CBSE. So let's get started. So in the final part of the chapter, the author is saying that that was all that even the most well informed among us knew. So here he is saying that the people who had all the information at hand at the Gemini studio, they all came to know this much only about the person who was about to visit at Gemini studios. Further he says, at last around 4 in the afternoon, the poet or the editor arrived. That means finally he arrived there around 4 in the afternoon, and still people had doubt in their mind either he is an editor or poet. Further he says he was a tall man, very English, very serious, and of course very unknown to all of us. So when he reached there, he was a tall man and very serious looking faced Englishman, and nobody at the Gemini studio knew who he was. Battling with half a dozen pedestal fans on the shooting stage, the boss read out a long speech. So here the narrator is saying that there were dozen pedestal fans kept on this stage to make the guests comfortable where the shooting was on, and due to dozen pedestal fans, the stage was very noisy, but fighting with noise, the boss read aloud long speech to welcome this Englishman. So pedestal fans means long stand table fans. It was obvious he too knew precious little about the poet or the editor. So here S.S. Watson read his long speech, and from his speech it was evident that he knew little bit about the poet or the editor. And further he says the speech was all in the most general terms, but here and there it was peppered with words like freedom and democracy. So a long speech was delivered by the boss S.S. Watson, and he covered general terms to welcome their guest, and he used a few words such as freedom and democracy. So S.S. Watson finished his speech, and then the poet spoke, and further he says he couldn't have addressed a more dazed and silent audience. So here he is saying that after the boss's speech, the visitor stood up and started speaking, and he was addressing everybody on the stage and surrounding, and there was silence and confusion between the people that who this person was, and no one knew what he was talking about, and his accent defeated any attempt to understand what he was saying. That means when he started speaking, nobody understood what he was talking about, and because of his British accent was very difficult to understand, and they were making efforts but no one able to understand, and they got confused. The whole thing lasted about an hour, then the poet left and we all dispersed in utter bafflement. So here the narrator is saying that his speech lasted about an hour. That means he delivered a speech for an hour and then left the stage, and everybody in the Gemini studio got puzzled and confused. And further he says, what are we doing? What is an English poet doing in a film studio which makes Tamil films for the simplest sort of people? So here when all people got confused, then they could not understand why a British poet was there at Gemini studios that made Tamil films for the common man in that place. People whose lives least afforded them the possibility of cultivating a taste for English poetry. So now he is saying that the people around Gemini studios were very simple, and they couldn't afford to develop a taste for English poetry because they were not able to understand English as well. So disperse means scatter or distribute, and bafflement means puzzlement or confusion. The poet looked pretty baffled too. So here he is saying that the poet was also looking confused, and for he too must have felt the sheer incongruity of his talk about the thrills and travails of an English poet. That means the Englishman got confused and was feeling sheer incongruity for his talk. That means he was feeling strange and out of place because whatever he spoke, people were just listening his speech without understanding anything. So basically during his speech he was talking about the thrills and travails, that means troubles he had gone through while writing English poetry. And further he says his visit remained an unexplained mystery. That means he wanted to say something, or whatever he spoke people did not understand, and that's why his visit remained an unexplained mystery. The great prose writers of the world may not admit it, but my conviction grows stronger day after day that prose writing is not and cannot be the true pursuit of a genius. So here Ashoka Mitran is saying that I have my strong conviction, that means strong beliefs that prose writing, that means writing long essays, cannot be performed by the intelligent because they cannot write long pieces of essays, and says the great essay writer will not accept that prose writing is not for the genius. So further he says it is for the patience, persistence, persevering, drudge with a heart so shrunken that nothing can break it. So here he is saying that prose writing is just for the people who have patience, persistence and persevering drudge. That means the only people who are hardworking, consistent and who can bear the pain of hard work, or person without feeling, or who are ready to do this boring job. Rejection slips don't mean a thing to him. That means if they are experiencing failure in whatever they are doing but still continuing with this boring job, so these kinds of people may be able to write long essays. And further he says he at once sets about making a fresh copy of long prose piece and sends it on to another editor, closing postage for the return of the manuscript. So here he is saying that for writing lengthy essays one needs to be more patient and hardworking, and after writing he makes a fresh copy of his writing and puts in an envelope, closing postage stamp, and send it to another writer or editor to find out mistakes and sentence errors. So in this way he is saying that it is very long and boring part of prose writing. It was for such people that the Hindu had published a tiny announcement in an insignificant corner of an unimportant page. So here the narrator is saying that it was for such people who are hardworking with a lot of patience, and for such people the Hindu had published a small notification in an unimportant part of the newspaper. And what was the announcement? It was a short story contest organized by the British periodical by the name The Encounter. That means the Hindu had published a small notification for the short story contest which was conducted by the British periodical, that means British magazine, and the name of the magazine was The Encounter. Overall, the author is saying that there was a short story writing contest which was published by British magazine in an unimportant part of the Hindu newspaper to notify people who are interested in writing a short story or taking a part in the context of short story writings. So insignificant means unimportant and periodical means the magazine. Further he says, of course, the Encounter wasn't a known commodity among the Jimny literati. So here he is saying that the writers who were highly qualified in the Jimny studios even had not heard the name of this magazine called The Encounter. So commodity means material or things, and literati means well educated. And further he says, I wanted to get an idea of the periodical before I spent a considerable sum in postage sending a manuscript to England. So here the narrator is saying that he was interested when he saw this notification, but before this he decided to spend money on sending his short story to England. He wanted to know more about this magazine in details. So considerable sum means great in amount or size, and manuscript means handwritten document. In those days, the British Council Library had an entrance with no long winded signboards and notices to make you feel you were sneaking into a forbidden area. So here, as we know that he had decided no more about the magazine, The Encounter, and he says he approached the British Council Library to find out the details about this Encounter magazine. And further he says the entrance with no long winded signboards and notices to make you feel you were sneaking into a forbidden area. That means in those days the main gate of library was simple and without signboards and notices, and no one felt as if they were entering a prohibited area. So sneaking refers to silence or hidden, and forbidden area means restricted area where something is not allowed or permitted. And there were copies of The Encounter lying about in various degrees of freshness, almost untouched by readers. So here, when he entered the library, he saw many copies of The Encounter magazine that was lying on the table, and most of the magazines were untouched. That means nobody read those magazines because they were unfamiliar with the magazine, or they never heard about this magazine called The Encounter. So various degrees means a large number of something, and untouched means not affected by something. When I read the editor's name, I heard a bell ringing in my shrunken heart. So here he is saying that he took the magazine and read it, and when he read the name of the editor, I heard a bell ringing in my shrunken heart. That means he suddenly recalled something unexpected and he felt very happy. So ring a bell means reminds you something, and shrunken heart means sad or hopeless heart. So he became very happy to know the name of the editor of The Encounter. And further he says it was the poet who had visited the Gemini Studios. That means now he got to know this magazine belonged to that visitor who had visited in the Gemini studio as a poet, and he saw his name there. I felt like I had found a long lost brother and sang as I sealed the envelope and wrote out his address. So here he got surprised after seeing his name on the magazine page, and he was so happy and felt like he had found his long lost brother. That means he was able to find out what he was looking for, and there was a name of a person who visited at Gemini Studios as a poet, and I sang as I sealed the envelope. That means he was very happy and he put his writing inside the envelope and wrote his address on it and sent it to London for short story competition. I felt that he too would be singing the same song at the same time. So here he is saying that once the editor of this magazine will receive my writing or cover to participate in short story contest, he too would be singing the same song because they knew each other very well, and once again they get to know each other. And long lost brothers of Indian films discover each other by singing the same song in the first reel and in the final reel of the film. That means in most of the Indian films, one can see both the narrator and the editor used to sing a song in the beginning of the film and once in the end of the film, and then they get disconnected for many years, and now once again they will meet each other. So in this way, the narrator is saying that they will be singing the same song once again once they will recognize each other. Stephen Spender, Stephen, that was his name. So here Stephen Spender was the name of the editor of the magazine The Encounter and the poet who had visited long ago in the Gemini Studios. Further he says, and years later when I was out of Gemini Studios and I had much time but not much money. So here he is saying that for some years he was out of Gemini Studios. That means he left Gemini Studios for many years. And at that time he had a lot of time but not earning much money, and says anything at a reduced price attracted my attention. That means anything at a low price attracted him because he had not had much money at that time. And further he says, on the footpath in front of the Madras Mount Road post office there was a pile of brand new books for 50 paise each. So here he is talking about the Madras Mount Road. In those days very popular for books. Even people used to sell books on the footpath, as well as there was a pile of brand new books. That means a heap of new books, and they were sold for only 50 paise each. Further he says actually they were copies of the same book, an elegant paperback of American origin. So here he is saying that there were copies of the same book with an elegant paperback of American origin. That means the design of cover of the book was flexible and attractive, and all these books were from America. And further he says they were a special low priced student edition. That means they offered at a special low price for the students because in connection with the 50th anniversary of Russian Revolution. That means there was a reduction on book price just because of the 50th anniversary of the Russian Revolution, and I paid 50 paise and picked up a copy of the book The God That Failed. That means he bought a book named The God That Failed and paid 50 paise for this book. 6 eminent men of letters in 6 separate essays describe their journey into communism and their disillusioned return. So here he is saying that there were 6 eminent men, and that means 6 popular men, and the book he bought, The God That Failed, had 6 essays written by 6 different famous writers, and they described their journey into communism and their disillusioned return. That means they wrote something about communism and put light on their trouble and disappointment, and finally they returned from those thoughts that they are related to communism. Further, he says Andre Gide, Richard Wright, Ignacio Silon, Arthur Koestler, Louis Fischer, and Stephen Spender. So these were the writers who wrote 6 essays on communism and their disappointment. Stephen Spender, suddenly the book assumed tremendous significance. So here he got surprised to see the name of the writer Stephen Spender, and as soon as he saw the name Stephen Spender, the book got a lot of value because it was written by this Stephen Spender, and the narrator knew him already when he had visited Gemini Studios. Stephen Spender, the poet who had visited Gemini Studios. So now he got to know that this was the same person who had visited Gemini Studios. And further he says, in a moment I felt a dark chamber of my mind lit up by a lazy illumination. That means when he saw the name of Stephen Spender, I felt that there was a light glowing inside of his dark mind. That light was hazy illumination. That means cloudy light when sunlight encounters tiny particles in the air. So dark chamber means a dark area, and hazy illumination means faded or dim light due to dust or clouds. The reaction to Stephen Spender at Gemini Studio was no longer a mystery. So at the end of the chapter, he is saying that these days people were thinking about why this poet visited Gemini Studios. But now the narrator understood why this poet Stephen Spender had visited Gemini Studios, and now it was no longer a mystery. The boss of the Gemini Studios may not have much to do with Spender's poetry, but not with his god that failed. So here the narrator is saying that he thought that the boss SS Vasan at Gemini Studio may not be concerned with the Spender's poetry, but he was certain that the boss has some kind of concern for the book that is God That Failed, which illustrates communism. So this is the end of the chapter. I hope you like the video. For more informative videos, do subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon so that I get notified whenever new video will be uploaded. So thank you so much for watching once again. Stay safe, stay healthy.